Hi, I'm Rodney with Jeepers Outpost. Today we're going to be working on my 2001 Jeep TJ. Be adding some more slots for switches. I won't be actually installing switches today, but I'll actually be making more room for them. Currently on my 2001, we have 3 slots. 2 of them taken, one for my rear window defrost and one for my rear window wiper, which leaves me 1 slot for a switch basically. I've seen people go numerous directions on this. You can either get the cheap switches from the auto parts store, which that's fine if that's what you want. Some people can do those and make them look real nice, but by and large they look out of place in my opinion. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to go with more of a stock look on that. So what I did was I went to the salvage yard, dug through a few TJs out there, and I inadvertently found that in the later model TJs, I'm not exactly sure, you need to do research when it started, but I believe I pulled this, my Brazil, from a 2005 Jeep TJ. In those Jeeps, they did away with the cigarette lighter, gave you 1 extra switch, also left you a blank space if you wanted to add some switches, and it added a power source. So you actually get 2 of the cigarette lighter adapter power sources. And I'm not a smoker, so I'm ditching the ashtray and the cigarette lighter plug. Okay, you see here, this is my stock setup. So I've got my ashtray, and this is my switches. So the 2001 TJ, this is a sport edition. It gives you 3 slots. Of course, just everything like I was telling you. There's the rear window defrost, the wiper, and of course the cigarette lighter plug. Now I've seen this go 2 ways. I've seen some people on YouTube and various places on the internet. They'll take the 3 and they'll get a donor vehicle and they get another one just like this, and basically with some cutting and some fabricating, they put these things together, give you 6 switches. That's not a bad idea. I may still do that, but I want to take everything out and see what it looks like. Currently, what I'm going to do is what I have in mind, because I really like the extra power source here, is I've gotten a switch. Now, like I've said, this comes out of a 2005 Jeep TJ. So you get, now I did a little fabricating because the power outlets there, one of those power outlets was actually a cigarette lighter plug. So I actually took one of the power outlets from a donor with the cap and everything added there, just a neat, clean effect. As you see on this one, you actually have 4 switches, and this will actually go in behind here, but with my current setup, it will require a bit of trimming, and so we will get to that. Now, the way to remove, you have to remove this whole Brazil here. So the way to do that is, first you see the cap here on the dash. It has clips. I've already removed it, as you can see, but you can see along the way it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips. Now my recommendation is that you pry this thing up with a screwdriver. There's one here on the end, a quarter of the way down, halfway through, and then 3/4 of the way and all the way down. Be very gentle with this thing, because you know, this Jeep is a 2001, making it what, 16 years old now. So this stuff can be brittle, and you will cry your eyes out if you break it, I assure you. To release this Brazil here, there are 2 screws. Let's see if I can get the camera on here too. There's 2 screws. You have one here, which I've already removed, and another here. There's also one that you'll find right behind the ashtray. So get that ashtray out, and there you see another one that I've removed. Now again, plastic, a lot of clips, so be gentle how you remove this thing. So we'll reach up here, and this thing has 2 clips. They're about midway. I'll gently tug at it. And there. So I got this off and out of the way now. So we got 2 screws there. another 2 screws right there that will have to be removed. So we'll get to work on those. Okay, now I've got the 4 screws removed. This just of course comes out real easily. Now, get this thing out of the way, we're going to remove the plugs. You'll see there's a tab here on the bottom. You depress that tab, and pull upward. Just pull it, switch right out, and same with others. There's a little tab. Sorry, my hand's not getting away with this, isn't it? And again, a tab right there. Press it. Pull back firmly. So I got my switches. Okay, so we got this out. This is what slot looks like now. And what I'm noticing here, as I say, there it doesn't appear. So I got my 2 screws for my mount on this side, but nothing on this side. So we'll may just use a screw to do that straight in. We could use those little use those other receivers as donors and move over there. So we're still going to have to think about how we want to do it. So here's one thing that I've seen done on the internet on YouTube. So a guy takes 2 of these stock 3 switches and makes a 6th switch. So you still have your 2 power receptors there. I'm looking at this. Well, I'd love to have 6 switches up there, 6 factory switches. I'm looking at this, and the modification for this would be more of a pain in the butt than I think it would be worth. Because actually you would have to cut both of the inner sides out on this. You would have to figure out some way to put these guys together and get the width right to go back in there in the area. And again, see, this side will be too long, and so it would put your, you see, it would put your way out there. So you'd also have to I guess you could do some brackets or something like that on there. Figure out how to cut those down so it brings it back into position where it should be, because you see on this side the leg is shorter than what it is on this side. So both outer legs would have to be cut down. A lot of fabrication there. I guess if it's done right, it would look good. I just don't know that I won't put the time or energy into doing that. So like I've said, this is found on the later model Jeeps. Trying to get where you guys can see the sun shining in here. But you got 4 switches. I'm thinking that the flat spot here, I could do some of the small round switches if I want to. I think they would look kind of neat, tucked in. Wouldn't be factory, but I think it would still look nice. So what we need to do now, I noticed another little problem here, is that my 2 power receptors, the previous one had one. You got 1 hole to go into there. And so, of course, these 2 here, they don't want to go in. So I'm going to have to also cut this out and being careful not to cut any wires or anything behind my dash. And it looks like this would be quite a job to take this thing out too. We'll kind of assess that and see what we want to do. So, guys, so for this part of the task, you'll see for the part that I have to go in there, appreciate my hedges here, I'm going to have to cut out the cigarette lighter area. Now, I'm either going to do that with a hacksaw blade, or I may use a cutoff wheel for doing that. But I'll just try to keep that nice line going there, and then this should fit in real nicely just behind that. So, all right, let's go into the garage and see what we got to accomplish this. So far I've tried using a hacksaw blade. I just want to avoid trying to cut too much off here. Problem being, I'm seeing this is going to be much more of a pain in the butt than it's worth. You know, it's taken quite a bit of work just to get that little area there. So what I'm going to opt for better or worse, is we're breaking out the cutoff wheel. So I'm going to cut that. I'm going to try to be a little gentle with it as best I can. Worst comes worst, if I run this thing, we can go back to the scrap yard and we can get the Brazil that actually came with the switches over there. One thing I've got to be real careful for This little button here, they have little rubber heads on them that press against the dash, keeps everything from vibrating. Gotta be real careful not to cut this off. So let me get this cut off and I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've got this cut out. I used a combination of the hacksaw blade and my cutoff wheel. Unfortunately, I did get a little over aggressive. So I've taken a notch out of my Brazil there, you can see. What I may do, I mean, I've put this in, it still looks okay, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. You can't quite tell. Sorry guys, I'm turning the camera a little bit so you'll kind of see the whole thing, but it kind of still fits in there nicely. What I may do, just for the heck of it, this little switchboard here costs about $5. So probably the rest of Brazil won't cost that much, and so I may go back out to junkyard and it may be easier. This is where you learn, right? This is where you learn from my mistakes, but maybe easier just get that whole piece from the junkyard. That way you can avoid cutouts, you get a perfect fit. So I may do that, but I'm still going to finish this project as is right now. Okay, as I've may already have mentioned, because I have now 2 power outlets, and this Jeep is actually designed for 1. I don't have enough room to get them in there. So again, we're gonna have to do a little cutting on the dash. And I've opted for, rather than pull the whole dash out, I'm just going to try to carefully cut this without damaging any wire or anything in the background. So again, we're just going to have to be very gentle, kind of drew some rough lines as to where exactly I want to get this. And so we're going to get that knocked out next. Alright, so what I found, I've cut this out trying to make room for my second power outlet. And what I found out is one of my ducts for my air conditioner is directly behind it, which won't allow me to do that. So here's what we've had to resort to. I've actually taken the power outlet, if you can see, and I have cut it down. You see, it's taken, see this other here, the excess room in there. So I've cut it down. I bent the probes out, and of course I won't be able to use the original plug, so I'll just, of course, I'll make some to plug into that. And so, fortunately, now that will allow it to bolt in. Sorry about the sunlight, guys. The angle's changing on me. I was trying to cut some extra space to run wires for the switches. And see what I found. Directly behind this is my air duct. And so you got very limited space on this. I'm hoping maybe at best we can run wires down through here, through the bottom part of it. It's just going to be a very tight spot for running wires. I don't know that I would recommend this project for anybody that's faint at heart about cutting on their Jeep. Alright, so I've kind of got this halfway cleaned up. Now what I'm going to do is, if you see, of course, we got the holes over here to mount this side of my bracket, but nothing over here. So I also noticed that my pilot hole, which is right here, looks a little bit smaller than what's on my other Brazil here. And so we're going to drill a pilot hole here, and we'll mark and we'll drill another one over here. I'm not going to worry with these metal brackets. I think this plastic should be fine. I'll drill a couple of holes to start the screws, and I think it'll hold it just fine. If I do have any problem with it, I will just do the metal brackets. But for now, we're not going to worry with it. Alright everyone, as you can see, I've got my pilot hole drilled, and of course that fits the nipple portion. As you can see, it's kind of just holds it in place for screws, and I drilled an extra additional hole just kind of gets the screw started in there. So next, what we want to do is I need to get my old switches out. And so the way we're going to do that, it's kind of difficult while holding the camera, find that out. Anyway, if you see the right in the middle, Okay, you can see here, right there, there's little tags. And so what you have to do is I'm not going to be able to do this and hold the camera too, so I'll demonstrate it and then I'll get this out. But you gently use a screwdriver up under here, pry up, and then just pull back on the switch. There's one on both the upper and lower. Hopefully you get the upper disconnected and the lower will come out as you pull it back. Again, you need to be gentle with these things because this plastic is, so these older Jeeps get brittle and you don't want to break this thing. Alright, as you can see, I've already got one of my switches in. And I'm going to put this other one in, kind of demonstrate you guys how to do that. It's really easy. You see the nipple there on the top, and there's also, again, one on the bottom. And let's just line it up. You hear it click in there. And that is how it's done. Switch is in place. Now they'll be ready to, we'll just wire those right up. They'll click into their original female receivers there. However, because I am going, I'm switching from a cigarette lighter to a power receptacle, I guess to call it, a power source. The plug-ins are actually different, so I am going to have to change this out. And this is a 3-wire, which is no problem. I'm going to, which this system, as you see with the one I've cut down, is a 2-wire, so it'll be a hot wire. Alright guys, what I've discovered, instead of cutting and splicing my wires, I've discovered that I can actually change the heads out on these things. This little piece here actually mounts on top. Let me get this on there in my other hand. Anyway, this piece, the little black piece here, slides all the way up across the top and locks in your wires. There are also, if you can see in there, there's little pieces, the pieces that raise up to lock them in place. You'll have to take a knife when you pull them out and raise those up. You can slide the wire out. When you slide it back in, it'll automatically click in place. And then you'll slide this little black sleeve over top and it'll lock all the wires in place. So we're going to do that, get that back in, and then next step we're going to, I'll actually have to splice this some way to run power into my second power source. Okay guys, what I've done now is I've made a couple of pigtails to hop the wiring across to my main power source, which will have the plug. This guy right here will plug in there. I'm gonna splice these wires. You just have to be real careful, keep up what's hot wire and what's ground. Your black in this case is gonna be ground, the blue is gonna be your hot wire. And of course on these guys, it's what people normally know as hot is the red, and then the black will be the ground. Now to splice these guys together, I'm going to use these. Really, I don't know what they're called other than splicers, but one wire, which will be the main here, will slide all the way through there. You see it goes where it goes all the way through. And the other will slide halfway in on the side, the hole in the right. This little piece here will crimp down on both those wires, completing a circuit. And then the piece I'm holding here will snap over that to protect it from ever coming into contact with anything. I don't necessarily love these things, but in this case it's going to be a easy fix for what we want to do. I have all my wiring connected in there. I'm going to switch the wire back up. My alternate power sources, they're both wired back up. So now we're going to bolt this thing in there, put the cover, the Brazil back on it, and see what it looks like. Alright guys, here it is all back together. I don't know that it's perfect, but I think it's pretty darn good. See, we got the top piece here snap back in. Everything's back in there. Cool. Hi guys, and thanks for watching my video. I hope it was informative. I hope maybe it'll help you avoid some of the mistakes that I made. If you have any questions or anything, be sure just to shoot me a message. You can reach me at jeepersoutpost@gmail.com. That's one word, jeepersoutpost@gmail.com. Be sure to like this video if it helped you out or in any way. I apologize if this kind of spliced together. This was actually my first video, and I appreciate you guys watching. I think the project turned out pretty good. Shoot me any, if you have any suggestions, anything you'd like to see done in the future, and if I can do that, I'll certainly do it. Until then, you guys keep on Jeeping.